Yeah, let's begin. Now, this video is meant for you guys. One of my family members asked me to make an English version of the last video I made. And in the last video I made, it was in Dutch. And in that video, I publicly announced that I am no longer a Jehovah Witness and that I also not planning on coming back to becoming a Jehovah Witness, and also um, that I'm officially an atheist, right? Which was I can imagine was a big shock, and but I needed to do it publicly because uh, the Jehovah Witness cult needs to be exposed, and I thought it was important to make a public announcement and also explain what happened. This video is going to be a summary, so I'm not going to make a 1 hour long video like I did with the Dutch one. I'm going to try to keep this short and sweet and pinpoint the most important part of the Dutch version that I made. I don't think I have to go to great lengths. I don't think an hour video is necessary, but just to make a nice and sweet short summary, but then in English. This video has three purposes. One is to say goodbye to my fellow Jehovah's Witnesses, but also to it's for therapy. It's very therapeutic. I think it helps me to verbalize what happened, but also for me to make it more official, to make it official that hey, I'm done with this, and also that I can materialize it on the internet. And third, I think this should be exposed. I think the Jehovah Witness organization in all honesty, a dangerous organization, which causes a lot of mental health issues, and I want to really expose this. I thought it was very important that people knew, because a lot of people leave the organization in silence, and I get it. It's a private situation, and maybe there's some guilt and shame that plays along, but I think it's still important that people know why this is important. Okay, let's explain the excommunication. Well, Jehovah's Witnesses, like many high control groups, practice ostracism or shunning, meaning that if someone does something or breaks the rules, that person is treated like he's dead, like he doesn't exist. Like for example, if I would walk down the street and a witness would see me, he would act like I never existed. Or this could be someone that I've known for years, friends. That's how they practice it, and it's a very dangerous practice on the Jehovah's Witness, because a lot of them get depressed and even consider suicide. And that's the reason why I made this video, because I also contemplated on ending my own life. And the fact that I'm not a mentally unstable person, I'm a very happy-go-lucky person, and the fact that it got so far tells me that something's off. And the most scary part of this is that I'm not the only one. So once again, what triggered me to create this video is the fact that I got excommunicated, and I've been treated by my fellow believers as a criminal. So what happened? Well, why did I get excommunicated? What was so terrible that I needed to be quote unquote punished so severely for my sin, basically? And to make it clear, you can at minimum be excommunicated for 6 months. And remember, I have my own freelancing business where I build websites and such, and I've lost many of my clients who were also Jehovah's Witnesses, but because I got excommunicated, they refused to do business with me. And I'm lucky that I'm not fully dependent on my freelancing to pay my bills and such. But if I was fully depended on it, um, that would have meant that the possibility of me not being able to pay my bills for 6 months was a real thing. And so, just to point out how serious or the gravity of the situation is, of uh, how um, how much effect it has on the individuals who get excommunicated. So in my case, I had uh, premarital, premarital. Clearly, English is not my first language, but I had sexual relations with my then girlfriend, right? I got out, and then I got excommunicated for it, and the elders thought that didn't think I had shown remorse for my sin, which is of course silly and stupid, because only God can truly know if you're fully remorseful. That is such you can't do that as a human being. You can't read hearts, and that was the first time that I knew that something wasn't right. Like, this doesn't make sense. It's unproportional. And you mean to tell me just because I had relations with my girlfriend that that I have to lose all my friends and even a potential family member, and even that my business has to go under? It's just a cruel punishment for something that, in all honesty, I don't think is that severe. Now, at least it took me 6 months to to come to this conclusion. Like, at the moment, I felt really terrible about it. Obviously, like when you're being indoctrinated, you feel terrible. But looking back, I'm like, it's not proportional. It doesn't make sense. And yeah, it took me 6 months to come to that conclusion. Imagine you live in a city, and this city is really proud at the fact that they are the most justified city and the best city in the world. And I live in that city by coincidence, and for some reason, due to hunger, financial situation, I steal bread, and I don't confess to it immediately. I just out of shame, I just keep it a secret, right? And then eventually I get caught, and I get brought to the justice system, and as punishment, they cut my hands off. And everybody in the city finds it terrible. Everybody's going like, "Oh, man, Yuri, how could you steal bread? How could you?" Or some reacted with, "Oh, they shouldn't have cut only your hands, Yuri. They should have cut also the girl's hands, because she also helped you steal that bread." And some even go as far as to say it was unjustified that they cut my hands. But no one asked the real question, and that is, why are we cutting hands? Is there a better method? Isn't there a more humane way of approaching this? Are we not being draconic about it? And that's the point that I wanted to drive home, is that the excommunication doesn't really work, right? There are three reasons. One, it doesn't solve the core of the problem. Secondly, it works, it backfires. And third, and most importantly, is that a lot of people get psychologically damaged. Some even commit suicide. And okay, let me go with the first one. I'm going to try to keep this short and sweet. I try to promise to keep this short and sweet. The first one is that when you have someone who has a drinking problem, they confess to the elders just excommunicate him, right? Because he's a repeated offender. But they don't really give him professional help. They don't really encourage to get a professional help. So this person will get excommunicated for like many times. Some people get excommunicated 5, 6, 3, 7 times, right? But that's because the issue or the core issue has never been resolved. They just slap some publications at these people's faces and go and read the Bible, and that's it. They don't. And I'm not saying you shouldn't read the Bible, but on the other hand, you should still get professional help, and that doesn't really happen under the Jehovah's Witness. And second of all, it backfires. Like, I know cases where when people get excommunicated, it's like a relief. Like, they go like, okay, I guess I'll just leave. I just won't come back anymore. And I've had cases where if a good friend of mine who lives in England, I call him my cousin, but we're not related blood. We're not when it comes to blood related, but we have a really good bond. And he also like was really happy to meet a fellow witness, and but because he was inactive, the witness in question acted like he saw a stranger, and that like really made him feel really it really broke his feelings, let me put it that way. And when I heard the story, it also really hurt my feelings, right? So it shows how ineffective it is. And the third reason, and the fact that people take away their lives, you can't call this God's organization anymore. Not really. That you can't really call it God's organization. It's like, and you know, too bad that I had to get excommunicated to see this. But on the other hand, I'm really happy that it did happen, and that I can finally really live my life the way I really want to. There was this interview of Dave Chappelle. Like, he's one of my favorite comedians, right? And in the interview by Inside the Actor, Dave Chappelle tells a story about the conversation he had with his father, where his father warned him that, you know, being an actor or a comedian or an entertainer in Hollywood is like a very difficult task, and that not everybody makes it. And Dave Chappelle gave I think, a very good argument. He said, like, yeah, but if I, as a comedian, can earn the same salary as you as a teacher, I think that's a very successful career. And the father laughed and said, "Okay, you're right, but name your price. Name your price. If it gets too expensive, just get out, right?" And it took me years to understand that statement. Like, obviously, in the context, it's about Hollywood and not selling your soul, right, to Hollywood. But in my case, I realized that if I have to be a Jehovah's Witness, I have to also be prepared to pay a price. Basically, like, if for some reason, if I met a girl in the Jehovah's Witness and I married her, and we had children, and my children get excommunicated, am I willing to sacrifice my children, or willing to shun them for this organization? And the answer is no. The price is too big. It is overpriced. Nothing is worth sacrificing your family for. There is nothing more valuable than that, right? And the organization demands a price. They demand that you put the organization above your family, or above your relatives, friends, even above yourself. And that's a problem. The Jehovah's Witnesses cannot separate the Watchtower organization from God, because these are two different things, right? Right. This one's gonna be this one's gonna be a little bit of a doozy. Yeah, atheist. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna be completely honest. Being burned by the Jehovah's Witness has really pushed me to being an atheist. I'm not gonna lie about that one. But on the other hand, I actually like being an atheist now. That being said, doesn't mean I'm not open. That will never be open to believing in God. But you will have to bring like a really good argument, like a really good argument as to why God exists. To be fair, yeah, you can say I'm not a full-blown atheist. Like, atheism is a spectrum, right? So you got agnostic, and you got atheist, and you got different types of atheism. And I'm more of a put it in the middle guy, right? Like for example, like, let's say I walk in a desert, and I see a big gigantic blue house, right? And when I see that house, there's no doubt in my head that someone built that house, right? But then you see two people arguing who built that house, right? No one was there when that house was built, but everybody is sure that one says like, yeah, I think Jack made that house, and the other one says, no, I think Bob the builder built that house. But in reality, no one really knows who built that house, right? Like in reality, I granted, I'm open to the idea that our universe was created, but to be honest, I'm under the impression that no one knows who that is. Like the only thing we got is an old book and failed prophecies. That's all we got. So I don't think it's enough for me to believe. Like if you ask me, like, do you think there is a God? I'll probably say, yeah, could be a creator, yeah, exactly. Um, but if you ask me, like, do you think the God of the Bible exists? And I have to say no. I don't think that God exists. Uh, I think it's just, in all honesty, it's just Jewish mythology, and it was just the Bible was written by Jewish farmers, and you know, to be for disclaimer, like I'm not against people believing in God. If you want to believe in God, you obviously you're free, you know, and if you find purpose in it and you feel better at it, feel better for it, then yeah, you should go ahead and do it. But me personally, I don't see the point anymore. I don't see why. But so I hope. Now I know a lot of you of my family members will be watching this, will not like this news, but um, yeah, I thought I should be honest with you guys. I don't. I've been being dishonest with myself for 13 years. That's a long time. That's a decade. That's more of a decade. Not being able to be yourself. And I know I have a very loving family. I know you guys have real unconditional love, unlike the Jehovah Witness that do have conditional love. Like they'll only be your friends as long as you're also a witness. And I know that you guys are different, and that's why that's why I'm so free to say this. And I know you guys will respect my decision, and I know you guys will really love me, and and that's that's a very calming fact that I know that my family members will love me unconditionally, and that's this is also what this also what helped me to leave. Like I know that I have family members who will support me no matter what, and but not everybody is as lucky as me. Not all witnesses are as lucky as me that they can just leave the organization and go back to the loving arms of their family. Some of them, most of the family members are Jehovah's Witnesses. Some come from sixth, fifth generation, and like the grandpa is a witness. The cousins are Jehovah's Witnesses. Like they're surrounded by people who have conditional love, so it's really hard for them. And in that case, I am lucky, and I think that's why the reason why I was able to do this publicly, and the reason why I'm able to be so strong and say like, no, Jehovah's Witnesses are false prophets, and I'm going back to to my real loving family that actually do love me for who I am. Conclusion. What now? Well, right now I'm planning on living my life. I spent 13 years wasting it on this cult, and now I really want to catch up, basically. Right? I'm planning on traveling. I want to visit the upcoming month. I'm planning on going to England. I want to visit the city of Milton Keyes. Most likely, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna visit London. Obviously, I also want to see the museums. I really love history. I'm planning on building a new browser game. In the future, I think I'm consider doing some stand-up comedy. See how that goes. Maybe I might fail miserably, but I could also be the most successful. Who knows? Life is now. There's so many opportunities for me now. I'm still young. I'm still relatively young, so there's still a lot of things I can still do and catch up. And I also want to spend more time with my family. I think that's really important. I really right now I want to put focus on that. I've come to realize this experience, if anything positive I've come out of this, that I've come to value family more. I've come to realize how important it is to have loving people. I've been spoiled. Now that I think about it, I'm spoiled by loving family members, and I think I think I should appreciate it more, right? So yeah, I think so. Conclusion, yeah, this video, yeah, it's a small translation. It's basically a translation from the other one, and it summarizes it all. There's a lot that I said that isn't said here in this video, but it's not really that relevant. I just wanted to give the more important aspects of it, so that you guys are up to date. I might consider doing only doing in English, but there are enough activists that do this in English, and I think I want to focus on the Dutch. There's not a lot of Dutch activists here in the Netherlands, and I want to make some episodes. I have a podcast in Dutch, and I want to help people. A lot of people think, like for example, a lot of witnesses are deadly afraid of Armageddon. They think that Jesus will come down from heaven and destroy everybody, including them. And I had a friend, my best friend. He's active, and he was afraid of Armageddon. He says like, yeah, but what if Armageddon happens? And like I said, Jehovah's Witnesses believe that Jesus will come down from heaven and kill everybody except the Jehovah's Witness. Like the Jehovah's Witnesses will not admit this. They'll say like, no, God will only kill the bad people, not the good ones. But if you read the publications, they're pretty clear that they're the only ones who will survive Armageddon, right? But I asked him a very simple question: do you think that God is unreasonable? It's a very simple question. Do you think that God will destroy you just because you didn't become a member of this obscure little religion? It doesn't make sense, right? Like, even if God saw me, I'm pretty sure that God would even be reasonable in a sense towards atheists. He was like, you know what? Yeah, I get it, guys. I get it why you guys wouldn't believe that I existed. I mean, if I look at the churches and what they've done and how people have misused the Bible in my name, I understand why you wouldn't want to be a Christian and why you wouldn't believe in me. So I don't think God is unreasonable. If he exists, I don't think he's unreasonable. And if he does exist and he's that unreasonable, then why even worship such a cruel, unreasonable God? Right? So to me, I'm like, I really want to enjoy life now, and there's a lot of catching up to do. I've wasted 13 years, so I really have to work hard on my company. It suffered a bit due to me losing a lot of clients, but it's a fresh start, and I love challenges. So yeah. So one thing I can say is that at the end of the day, the one that has to live your life is you. And I'm going to live my life.
Oh, this is bullshit. Look, I've been spending so much time doing this. What about my family? What about my friends? Wait, whatever happened to my friends? They don't even have any friends. Ugh. So I bounce, man. The worst thing to call somebody is crazy, is dismissive. I don't understand this person, so they're crazy. That's bullshit. These people are not crazy. They're strong people. Maybe the environment is a little sick. Lunch we were having, and they had my dad come and talk to me, and my dad takes me outside, and he's like, listen, and this is some advice that applies to all you acting students. He says, to be an actor is a lonely life. Everybody wants to make it, and you might not make it. And I said to my dad, well, that depends on what making it is, Dad. He was a smart-ass kid. Yeah. It depends on what making it is, Dad. He says, what do you mean? I said, well, you're a teacher. I said, if I could make a teacher salary doing comedy, I think that's better than being a teacher. And he started laughing. He said, if you keep that attitude, I think you should go. He said, but name your price in the beginning. If it ever gets more expensive than the price you named, get out of there.